Hey, welcome to the Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and I know we just talked about Hearts and Hearts Month, but the timing worked out where we actually got sent the Doppelkopf 2.0 and the Doubleheaded Kids edition for the Kickstarter that went live today. And again, since this was a sponsored video and I got sent these copies to cover everything, keep everything with a grain of salt, make sure that's aware of any bias, and my grain of salt, my old grain of salt got recycled. So we're making do here with a pizza box that just for me, wow, a custom pizza box. So keep that in mind. But back to the games. Again, this is Doppelkopf, but tweaked for, kind of like people like me, where on the cards they have helpful info on ranking or the importance of certain cards. And then also this edition, which is more for families. So since there's two editions, I thought it'd be fun to split into two here. Oh. Hey. Oh, hey. Yeah. Oh, you look good. No, have you not done anything different with yourself compared to me? No. No, nothing really. Yeah, no. I can tell. Oh, yeah. Do the hook? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you hold one. The hook to Doppelkopf, and then by extension these games is you go for it. That you're on a team with someone on the table, but you don't know who. It's a 4-player game, and you have a random partner, and you're not really sure who it is. You can suss it out through maybe betting or cards they play, but the hidden unknown partnership at the start of the game is really the crux of the game. But let's go to the table, and we'll show you how to play. Here we have the two different deck makeups for Doppelkopf 2.0 and Doublehead Kids. And up here, we even have just a standard Doppelkopf deck, which I'll show in comparison to all this right after. So in the games, they each have the same deck makeup. So there's two of each card, as you can kind of see here. So the Hearts suit, it has 2 1s, 2 4s, 2 11s. And then the Spades and the Clubs suits over here in this version, will have 2 1s, 2 4s, 2 10s, and 2 11s. So it has 2 extra 10s than the Heart suit, which is a little shorter. So these are just kind of standard suits. And then you have a huge Trump suit. So as you can see here in the deck, there's from 20 all the way down to, if I grab this, 19, 17, all the way down. I think it stops at 10, and it goes 4s and 1s, very similar to the other suit makeups here. And just in a quick comparison, as you can see, maybe just comparing the 11 in clubs here, the rank is in a small circle here, even though on a normal deck this is just the ace of clubs. And then over here, it'll be clubs and the rank here. So this is the family-friendly version, kind of to help learn the game. And this is the Doppelkopf 2.0, which is also to learn the game, but just has helpful aids on the side here. As you can see, there are points in the game that are denoted as like kind of silver coins in the Doublehead Kids version. Those are down at the bottom left, 11. And then they're in the middle here on 11 for that. And the points don't always correspond to the ranking, even though 4 and 4, because sometimes it's 1 ranking but no point, or like this 10 here, it's rank 20 but it's worth only 10 points, or you can see that also on this one here. So in the Doubleheaded Kid version, they have kind of the points on the bottom left, and in addition to the suits, they also have the color coordination for the suits. You can go without, as you can see up here, so they do give you options to remove the colors. Here is an 11 of spades with the green color background, and then 11 of spades without. They have just the nice green touch there still. So there's included copies, so you can interestingly teach the game with the cards color coordinated, and then you can remove that maybe if you're starting to learn the game even more and don't want the more obvious indications on the card. Same with this, so these 20s are the strongest cards in the game, but the game also gets an addition of the 20s that are just white. So you could play Doubleheaded Kids with just all white background cards, maybe to get slowly closer to learning the game with Doppelkopf 2.0 deck or just a regular Doppelkopf deck. They also have helpful wordings for the team. As you can see, the two teams are light pink kind of background, and they say the word team on it, compared to the Doppelkopf version where it looks pretty close to a standard deck of playing cards, but it has the word re, which means you're on the re team instead of no re. All right, with all that out of the way, let's teach the game. I thought we'd start with Doublehead Kids because it's the family, kind of kid-friendly version to learn the game of Doppelkopf, and then we can kind of jump to Doppelkopf 2.0 and learn a little bit more of the advanced game as we go. So here we have the game set up for 4 players. You shuffle a deck and deal it out equally. You start the first trick to the left of the dealer. Let's say it was Patrick. So Patrick's going to lead to the trick, and it's a must-follow game. So say if they played this 4 of clubs, the left angry thwomp here would have to follow suit, and maybe they play the 11 of clubs. Coming to Patrick, they toss in their 4 of clubs. And what's interesting is players don't know what team they're on as they're playing. So they're throwing in points to the trick, but they're not 100% sure if their teammate's actually getting the trick. So coming to the right thwomp here, they could play at 10, and the highest of the lead suit wins if there's no trump. Trump are the crown kind of trump suit in the game. And what's interesting is if the same number was led, so let's say the right thwomp led an 11, the first one wins. So the angry thwomp won this trick. They'll just collect the trick and then lead to the next trick. The thwomp led one of the trump cards, and the trump is a suit, so since it's must follow, the subsequent players have to play one of their trump. So coming over to right thwomp here, they play the 17. And what's interesting is this is one of those moments where you can't actually reveal to everyone what team you're on. So the Patrick bottom player here could play one of their team cards to reveal that, hey, I'm on the team, and they could clue in their other teammate they're on that team. So maybe they can start getting points. It's part of the strategy in this game. Maybe they're not sure if they want to do that yet, and so they just play the 18 to win this trick. So play like this continues until all the 12 tricks have been played, and at that point, you'll finally know, now that Patrick has the lead, maybe they do want to let everyone at the table know they are on that team. So the left thwomp over here, looking at their cards, they don't have that team card. So now they really don't want to add as many points as they can to here, especially because they don't think they're going to win. So maybe they throw a low point value into the trick. After the top Patrick also played a low point value, we look at the hand of the right thwomp, and it looks like they are also on the team. So maybe they throw a 10 of trump, which has 10 points on it. So this kind of clues a little bit into who's on whose team, kind of, even though the right thwomp hasn't really said they are on the team. They're throwing good points to Patrick player on the bottom here. Tricks like this will continue until all the cards have been played, and then at that point everyone would know who's on whose team, and then you'll count up these silver coins on the bottom here. So 3 plus 3 plus 2, you'll go through all the cards that each team has captured, and then you'll see who won the round. Each player on the winning round will get a coin, and it's first to 5 coins. So you would just shuffle the hands and play another round. The team with the most points will get a gold coin, and it's first to 5 gold coins. So you'll keep playing hands, rotating who leads and who's the dealer until one of the players gets 5 coins. So that's just the basic game. In the advanced game, you can actually get more coins depending on how well you do in different things. So if you look at the advanced scoring chart here, if a team scores over 120 coins, they can win 1 coin, right? 1 golden coin. But if a team scores over 150 silver coins, they can score 2 golden coins. Over 180 is 3. So you can make the rounds, if you do really well, be worth even more. The advanced scoring also has 3 special rules that we kind of hinted at on the deck makeup overview at the start. So looking at the cards here, as you can tell, some of the cards have a gold coin. Again, these are the gold coins that you win for winning a match. Cards with the golden coin, which are the Fox and the Carlchen, denote different ways to get gold coins, which you can only get for winning a match, during the match. So it kind of spices up the match play because there's some big points to be won during play. So I'll explain just the first one here. The Fox is if this is captured by the opposing team, then the opposing team gets a coin. Of course, you don't really know who's on whose team, so if this ever gets captured and teammates haven't been sorted yet, you would just keep it in front of the person who captured it, pointed at the person who they captured it from. And both members of the team that capture this on a successful capture will get the coin. It's not just the teammate who did the capturing. So then I'm going to explain the Carlchen. So the Carlchen is you're trying to win the last trick with the Carlchen. If you do so, you'll get a golden coin. But it's a little precarious because the last third way to win one of these golden coins is if you play to the final trick and capture an opponent's Carlchen who is trying to do just that win the final trick with this card. So those are the 3 ways that you can get a gold coin during play. So that's how to play Doubleheaded Kids. Now we're going to jump over to Doppelkopf 2.0, which adds a few more rules, and as you can see, probably cards that look a little bit more like a playing card that you're used to. Quick edge case before I continue. If one player gets dealt both team cards, they have one of 2 options. They can go it alone, so they're trying to get the most points with these and on their own without a partner. And if they do so, they get double the golden coins from the round. If they don't want to do that though, they can just pick one of their teammates in the Doublehead Kids version. It's a little bit different in Doppelkopf, but yeah, that's the kind of edge case if one player gets both these cards. Now I'm just going to compare the differences between Doppelkopf 2.0 and Doublehead Kids. So the first off is if you get dealt the 2 team cards, which in this case are the Re cards, the kind of queen or the D of clubs, in this case the 19 of trump, you can't just pick a teammate. In actual Doppelkopf, how it works is you can either go it alone, so that's similar to Doublehead Kids, or you can announce the marriage and then you play tricks, and the first person that isn't you in the first 3 tricks that wins a trick is on your team. If no one wins the first 3 tricks that isn't you, like you just decide to win the first 3 tricks for some reason, you're going it alone again. So don't know why you do that, but there you go. One of the biggest changes between Doppelkopf, the actual game, and Doublehead Kids is the idea of announcements. And announcements are kind of saying what team you're on, or doubling down and increasing, pretty much doubling sometimes, the value of the round if you think your team's going to do well. So there's other strategic reasons why you would call announcements, because how it works is you announce either re or contra depending on the team you're on. And you have to make this announcement at a certain time. So depending on the announcement, you have less time or more time to make the announcement, but it's usually within the first few tricks of a round. So let's say I wanted to let my partner know that I'm on the Re team without playing the Re card. So in Doublehead Kids, you kind of just play the card, right? And you find out that's who's on your team. But in this game, maybe I lead the King of Hearts or something, and I can call Re. What that means is, hey, I'm on the Re team, but also makes the game worth more points. Likewise, the other team, if they wanted to, they could announce Contra. So that would mean you don't have the Re card in your hand. And so you could announce Contra, again, to maybe clue into your partner, or if you think you have a really good hand and you're going to win a ton of tricks and get even more points in the game. So if you make those bids, the hand is worth even more points. The other bids you can make are no 90, which means the other team isn't going to get at least 90 points, no 60, which again is no 60, no 30, the other team's not going to get 30 points, or Schwartz, which you think you're going to win all the tricks. And right here, it denotes how many cards need to be left in hand to make these announcements, because you can't just make these announcements on the final, 2 or 3 tricks, right? So they require you to be playing earlier tricks or making announcements earlier in the hand. Like in this example, you only can make that Contra or the Re announcement when there's at least 11 cards in the hand. Again, the reasons why you would make announcements are to clue in your players on what team you are without having to play the card, or, as you can see here, how points are scored in the game. So if you win at all, you get a victory point. If Re or Contra was announced, you get 2 victory points. If the 90, 60, 30 was announced, each step is 1 point. And then also, which is really interesting and different than Doublehead Kids, if you're on the opposite team from the team that has Re, or the 2 queens, you also get a point for being against the queens. So that's the basic way to play Doppelkopf. Again, there's still those special rules coming over from Doublehead Kids in the same vein. So catching a fox, or trying to play the Karlchen in the last trick, or capturing the Karlchen. There's also a Doppelkopf, which is if the trick has 40 or more points in it. So maybe you play the 11 of spades, the other 11's played, the 10 of spades, and the 10 of spades is played. That's 40 points in a trick. That's a Doppelkopf. Or variation rules on how the second 10 beats the first, because again, the first number, if they're the same number, wins. Some people like this so that you can't just play a 10 of hearts and just know you're going to win the trick. There's some kind of scariness in there. The final kind of special rule in this book is solo games, which actually I was just taught how to play with solo games from the bat. I think they're a pretty huge thing. And how this kind of works is at the start of a hand, before you start playing tricks, you go around and you go like, are you healthy, 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 healthy? It's just something you say. You can either say unhealthy or healthy, right? And that means you want to either play as normal or you want to make one of these bids. So one of the bids could be marriage, like we talked about, where you want to denote marriage and you want whoever wins one of the first 3 tricks to be on your team. That's something you can call if you weren't going to just say healthy. Or you could denote one of these solo games. And what this does is it kind of changes a lot of the hierarchy around. Like you say queen solo, where just the queens are trump and nothing else. So there's only 8 trumps. And then jack solo, where there's only the jacks that are solo. Or you could do a solo suit, which starts moving some suits around. There's some wacky, interesting stuff, especially games where a solo is required in the number of hands that you play. That makes the game pretty spicy. But those can be left to you finding out later. So that's pretty much how to play Doppelkopf and Doublehead Kids. So that is Doubleheaded Kids and Doppelkopf 2.0. And look at that. They're making lovely little panorama there. That's a cute little touch. It's interesting. I actually grew up not playing like euchre or games where the cards could be moved around in interesting ways to mean something different. So anytime a game does that, it kind of hurts my brain. And I learned this game actually being taught with the actual traditional Doppelkopf deck, where there's D's and B's and A's running around, and the cards are kind of all moved, and it was tough for me. So one of the 2 kind of big cons I had for Doppelkopf, just the original game that I was trying to learn, was that the deck makeup was just pretty confusing, and remembering what meant what and which cards were in which order, it was a little bit tough. And the number one thing I love about Doppelkopf 2.0 is that it moves around the rankings still, right? So you can still technically play with a traditional deck, but it keeps the points and the kind of value, especially in the trump suit, of what the cards are, kind of straight, so you can still play the game and know what you're doing, and it's way, way, way less of a barrier of entry for people like me who just have so much trouble with the game. So I love that about this edition. Even the kids kind of family edition, Doublehead Kids, has like a really nice suit intro too. So as you're looking at your hands, you kind of really know just how much trump you have and just how many suit cards you have. I really like that touch. The kind of graphic design on both versions really help you learn the game, which was one of the biggest struggles I had for learning Doppelkopf, and it turned me off a fair amount. I'm just that type of person where if a game has such a wacky deck makeup and it just doesn't sit well in my mind, I just like can't get into it. So this edition has done wonders to that, and I've taught both Doublehead Kids and Doppelkopf 2.0 to people who are well versed in trick taking, but also are maybe a little hesitant with traditional games, and they both landed really, really well. An interesting side thing, I actually really love the graphic design on Doppelkopf 2.0. I think it's nice how the numbers of the trump have little crowns, and the point values are on the side here that are easy to see. The Doublehead Kids version is a little tough. The coins on the bottom are harder to see because a lot of times I'll have my cards displayed like this, so sometimes they would get covered up. I wish they were like in the middle, kind of like Doppelkopf 2.0. And other than that, though, it's cute. I like that the art is very kid-friendly and has a bunch of kids on them. I think I haven't taught this to kids, so I can't speak to that, but I think it would land well. They did a great job of paring down the rules to be taught in such a simple way. And what's cool is you can even go from the simple way of playing the game in Doublehead Kids to the advanced way of playing in Doublehead Kids, which doesn't have any of the announcements and kind of the interesting minutia of Doppelkopf, and really still have a pretty, not like too super advanced, but like a pretty meaty game. I mentioned before that I had 2 kind of big issues with Doppelkopf. One was the deck makeup, and thankfully, again, this just cleans it up perfectly. I don't think I would ever play with kind of like a standard deck like this, just because this 2.0 deck has just such clean kind of design and helpful information that I'd probably always stick with that. Sadly, the other issue is more just with the game of Doppelkopf, which isn't really the fault of this edition at all. It's just a personal thing I have with the game itself. And it's kind of funny, it's kind of a love-hate relationship, because the main hook is you have random partnerships, right? And while I love random partnerships, like in Vivaldi or Shamans that we covered, the issue I have is, this is kind of most hands in the game, you are randomly placed with a partner, and that could be the person in the lead. And since you don't know if you're with that person in the lead until after the solo calls, if you're playing with solo calls, you are kind of randomly stuck with the leader. There's like a 1/3 chance. And if you do well, you're just helping the leader get more ahead. And I've played a fair amount of games of Doppelkopf where I just kept getting stuck with the leader, and it just felt like I can't get out of this cycle of getting stuck with the leader. I just didn't have a hand good enough for solos, and I just kept, getting in the cycle of just not being able to break free or try to get ahead in the game. And I know it's not going to happen all the time, but it happened fair enough to where I just got left with a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. And going back to games like Vivaldi or games like Mew or Niet, which don't have 2 random partnerships, they have more player agency partnerships, but those games give you, as a player, a ton of agency to be a part of the team that determines Trump, or be a part of that, stronger main team if you want to be a part of it, right? So I think there's a level of agency that's missing a bit in Doppelkopf, and this is just me personally. So if you don't mind this in the game, definitely check this out, because I think if you definitely were okay with just random partnerships, I think you'd enjoy it. Frank Zoo kind of does it almost better to me as well, because they pair off the number 1 person and the the third place person. But so in that you have random partnerships, but it's sensical. It's like, make sure that like at least the 3rd person is catching up in the 2nd place if they win. So again, this doesn't happen every time, every hand, but it just stunk when you fall into a rut of like sometimes just helping the person in the lead and there's nothing you can really do about it. One of the things I do love, actually one of the variants, is the solo calling, especially a forced solo where you have to call a solo at least once in the game. And I love the forced pressure of gambling of, is this the right hand? Am I ever going to get a better hand? When in the game do you call a forced solo, especially when it's a shorter game, like 8 hands is pretty spicy. It's almost like every other hand is a forced solo call. So I love that pressure of solo and forced solo. It's probably my favorite thing about Doppelkopf if we're playing with like all the variants. I've heard no 9s is an interesting variant as well. It kind of makes it so every card you play has points, and it kind of accelerates, I think, the gameplay in interesting ways. I also love the second 10 wins the trick variant. It's nice to have a little bit of unsuredness, is that the word? Of when you play the highest card in the game that you're not 100% sure you're going to win. It kind of adds just a little bit of scariness to the trick. So that's Doublehead, kids. Again, these are amazing additions if you want to play Doppelkopf. I personally would go with this. I think this is my favorite, but again, for families, this works perfectly fine too. And I've even taught this to adults and it landed smoothly. So I guess it's pick your poison at that point. Again, I have some qualms with the game itself and how it handles partnerships, but if you don't mind that and you like a game that has this kind of interesting idea of being randomly put with a partner and trying to suss out who it is, that is a really fun tension. So definitely check it out. Thanks so much for watching.